Hey guys, welcome to the After Hours Gaming League. This is Game 4, Amazon versus Twitter. Amazon trying to defend their undefeated streak. They are on the verge of dispatching Team Twitter. This time fielding Radioactive, bottom right-hand corner. It's the red zerg. This is Chris Poon. And I have to expect that Amazon going up against Team Twitter knew they were going to be facing a protoss in this situation. Just such a protoss-heavy team. I actually looked it up. There is Zelnaga, who's a zerg on Team Twitter, and Gara, the double R, who's also Terran. Actually, that's how I want that pronounced from now on. Hopefully I can make that happen. Gara. Just sounds great. Bottom left-hand corner, we have Chanian. As the blue protoss, Ian Chan. This Shakuras Plateau tends to be a little bit more protoss favored statistically. Doesn't necessarily guarantee victory. Pylon placed on that forward edge, so we can block out zerglings later down the line. Now the question is what does Radioactive do? Is he going to go for a stronger economic opening, or is he going to go for a little bit more zergling pressure right off the bat? Probe sneaking across. It looks like it is going to cross this drone initially. If that did not reveal the location of the base, the creep momentarily will for Chanian. So at the very least, he's going to be able to at least see what Radioactive is opening up with, if not pattern Radioactive's build. It's so frustrating when you have a probe. Yeah, it looks like he might thinking, okay, probe in my base. I don't want to deal with the battle at my natural expansion. Risk being delayed. I'm just going to grab my extractor, go spawning pool first, play what I like to call July Zerg style. Get the early Zergling speed. Looks like Chanian wisely going to drop a pylon. Actually, you can do that a little bit later. We're going to drop a pylon at the natural expansion. Try to deny that as long as possible. And now he just needs to focus on his macro. Chrono boost those probes out. Looks like he does have some chrono boost stored up at this stage. But yeah, just needs to hunker down, focus on his build order. And not do this idle probe there on that corner. Everything counts here. Particularly going up against Zerg when you know you're going to be denied information into the mid game, because that's the glory of this spawning pool. The quick Zergling speed spawning pool build is you can just deny a huge amount of information with those speed Zerglings. It's difficult for Protoss to get out there and see what's going on. They can go for an all-in, or they can go a stronger economy, maybe even take 2 additional hatcheries. Maybe just take a safe internal hatchery. Looks like I love Radioactive with this drone, just trying to delay Chanian, sneaking out. Looks like that drone actually taking significant damage from that probe initially. Now we're going to see that Cybernetics core to try to finish off, well, not completely finish off, but complete the building portion of that wall. Chanian with the 3 harvesters in gas. Might want to get a sentry out after, well, actually might not even need a stalker to start here, because that drone down to 13 health, and I don't even know that it's going to be able to, this is going to be close. Able to sneak out about 10 seconds, well, it's not that close, before that Zealot was able to appear, so Radioactive going to be able to preserve this. Now, does he want to follow this up with a Stalker once the Cybernetic Core finishes, or does he want to go a little bit more Sentry heavy? Because keep in mind, a lot of Zerglings moving out in open field. So Zerglings now produced. We've got 4 total, rather than a full complement of 6. They are going to have that speed upgrade momentarily, so they should be able to hunt down probes very, very rapidly. And this is actually one of those nice opportunities, if you're a Protoss player, to sneak out a probe and try to get it somewhere out in the field away from these Overlords, so you can kind of at least maybe hunt it down later. Doesn't look like that's happening for Chanian. He's going to be playing very isolated inside of his base. Does have that Stalker along that corner. Chrono boosting that Warp Gate tech. He has a second gas up, only 2 harvesters in it though. So not going the full gas complement. We'll see if that's intentional or not down the line. And a second gateway. Wondering if he's going to go straight to Robotech, or if he's just going to go 3-gate expand at this stage. Hatchery about, I keep doing this, 2/3 finished. And we do have an evolution chamber for Radioactive, which implies he's going to go for more of that long-term, perhaps Zergling into Infestor style of play. He does have that second extractor up right this second. We'll see if he decides to go for that melee upgrade. There's that sentry. More chrono boost to get that warp gate upgrade out. Second sentry in production. So Chanian definitely showing more of a defensive style. That Overlord sneaking in, it's going to see these 2 additional gateways and getting an absolutely beautiful look at all of Chanian's tech. Going to provide him tons of information here. Absolutely huge amounts of information, and he's going to see that second gas. Now we have 3 drones in there. 3 probes in there. Still though, with a 3rd sentry, we should see Chanian move out comfortably, because he can, well, even with 2 you can deny that ramp, but with 3 you can, or with, actually is it 4? 4 you can just continually deny that ramp. Looks like we do have a 3rd in production right now. And he's meandering out to take that natural expansion because he's happy to eat a little bit of zergling damage perhaps. Also upgrading hallucination, so he can, again, you can skip Robotech a little bit later with that. Has a lot of utilitarian uses, in my opinion. There's that Nexus. Oh, these zerglings being lazy. They could have gone out there and denied that for quite some time. Looks like instead just going to play a little bit safe. Natural expansion is up for Radioactive. He has a significant supply lead. Feeling comfortable, feeling like Chanian's in a suitably defensive slot. He is pumping Harvesters. He's already at 32. And we actually see a missile attack upgrade and a layer already. So let's see if we're actually going to see a roach, a roach attack here, or if we're going to see, I hope not, possible Hydralisk. There's the Roach Warren. Overseer being produced as well. Again, to continue to glean that information from Chanian. Forge on the front with a gateway. Chanian sealing up rather well. Is doing okay, but still economically behind, and at the moment, this is the problem. When an Overlord can see all of those sentries, when they know a Protoss is sealing up, they'll do this. They'll just pump drones, pump drones, pump drones, and play their game. Radioactive at this stage looks like what he's going to do, though, is as soon as this Roach Warren finishes, hit a couple spawn larvae, second evolution chamber in production, going to produce, 7 roaches. He's got burrow running as well. Going to take map control and hold map control for the entirety of the game if he can. Natural expansion still not set. Okay, there we go for Chanian. Probes out there should even things up a little bit economically. He's still significantly behind in the flat harvester count, and it shows. 1,200 versus 500, and particularly for that period of time, it hurts a lot. Phoenix Scout moving forward, Overseer diving in, going to see absolutely everything here. Stalker warping in to try to deal with it, but I think that Overseer is still going to be able to sneak out without too much trouble. Going to see a couple roaches defensively on that front door. Spore Crawler, Spine Crawler as well. Even losing that hallucination can hurt a little bit because you lose that information. It's not like a pure unit, which is nice because you can get that scout without filling in supply or delaying, or you can delay that robo. Things along those lines. 2 additional simulators, so more gas heavy now, transition from Chanian. Now the question, does he stick, which it looks like initially because of that Forge, he is going to go a little bit more warp gate heavy. Still no robotics tech out there. And fielding mostly sentries and stalkers. That's where those force fields are going to be absolutely huge. Speed Zerglings moving forward in the field. Looks like we do have a glial reconstitution. A lot of troops being fielded all of a sudden by Radioactive, and he's starting to create that creep wall so he can reinforce very rapidly to midfield. Ooh, Chanian needs to be a little bit careful. Radioactive with a considerable supply lead. All of a sudden with 22 Zerglings, 11 Roaches out in the forward field. And he does have that level 1, keep in mind, missile upgrade, which is going to make those Roaches very, very powerful. So where you might have neglected a couple creep tumors here, I do like this Overlord spread in the mid game. And also these Roaches and Zergling stage out the front to pin Chanian into 3 bases while he takes an additional expansion in that upper right hand corner. More Roaches starting to flood out. Unfortunately, it looks like Radioactive, while he's producing all these attack troops and taking an expansion, he's kind of shelled up a little bit. He hasn't actually produced a ton of troops to follow this up. That's going to allow Chanian to actually catch up a little bit economically. But he still has an overwhelming number of troops. 3 Zealots, 7 Stalkers, 6 Sentries versus 22 Zerglings, 22 Roaches, and only 2 Queens. And these Roaches not going to be able to penetrate against all these Sentries and that ramp. In fact, they're going to, liability, blocked in. Actually going to lose a few. Actually, one sneaks out, just 6 health. Nice. Chanian does not want to descend down that ramp, though, because that is, again, a huge amount of Roaches, a lot of Zerglings, and they can sneak across field very, very rapidly. Ooh, nice burrow. Level 2 missile attack. Phenumanized Carapace, Ventral Sacs. Going to maybe see some drops. Another Overlord sneaking full. I love what Radioactive's been doing with the consistent and constant scouting. He's done a fantastic job in that regard. And I love what he's doing as well with the, first of all, he's doing information analysis. He's seeing, okay, no robo. I know he doesn't have an observer. These Roaches can just burrow out here. Be a nice surprise attack later. On top of that, I'm going to go drop to pin my opponent back for as long as possible while I just take over the map and build a huge economy. Chanian sees that group of Zerglings to the right. He does not see this Roach bundle. Might be tempted to continue to press forward, but needs to be very, very careful with any of this engagement. Very, very careful. Not sure if he saw those burrowed in the north. He might be thinking, oh, free kills. Oh, trap. There we go. sneak in. He's going to end up losing some of these troops. It looks like some nice force fields to defend out. Nice force fields by Chanian to escape, but he wasted a lot of force fields. Radioactive, if he actually gets a spot of this low ground, might even want to press this attack because of just a lack of energy. Actually, never mind, still a handful of force fields, but fewer force fields overall to deal with. Now, I'm almost wondering if he's thinking about going to Tunneling Claws, not that it's necessary, particularly this eventual sack's about to finish. So now this is the stage of the game where Radioactive, what he can do is he knows he has Chanian pinned in, he has a third base, he can saturate it very easily. He can just continually drop units, even just let Chanian know about that drop threat. Or possibly just go for a game-ending drop. But I really like the option to just go for that drop threat, throw some troops in there, let him know that, okay, if you attack out with anything, I'm just going to drop all over you. You have to stay pinned back with your troops, otherwise you're going to lose. Robotics facility up. Looks like we do have a robotics bay in production. Here comes all sorts of overlords. They are in fact empty though. But let's see if these roaches do swing around. Okay, initial attack on the front, burrowing. Chanian feeling aggressive, sneaking out with a large amount of stalkers and sentries. Does have level 1 weapons, but now those roaches backing off. Let's see if they move to the south. Again, I'm looking for that creep dump. Looks like he's a little bit concerned. Some more, actually mostly zerglings loading up here. In the meantime, currently economically, 50 harvesters. Chanian has actually taken the economic lead. So if he can stave off some of these attacks, maybe even really just completely pummel this roach force in open field. Way behind supply though, and just look at that, 42 roaches. Oof, Radioactive way ahead as far as the flat macro battle goes. Pylon though. Sentries can make all the difference in these engagements, particularly against these roaches though. Gathering up, trying to defend right there. Some force fields still retreating. Chanian still pinned back. Zerglings able to surround, ooh, one of those sentries was very valuable. Right up to the ramp here, drawing back to that cannon line, and here comes that drop in the main from Radioactive. 2 cannons there to provide some additional defense. It doesn't look like you're going to be able to kill that Overlord, and even losing these probes is going to slow Chanian down and hurt a lot. Unfortunately, the Zerglings are focusing on that cannon rather than that probe line, but the roaches continuing to pummel forward on Chanian's front door, trying to warp in more units, provide considerable distraction. Just infinite force fields on that front ramp, though. Chanian can shell up for quite a long period of time. The Overlord's going to be escaping. It doesn't look like a lot of probes were killed in that Zergling attack. Mostly they just chewed through that cannon shield, which does not hurt Chanian at all. But Chanian has a huge problem. He is backed into the wall. Yes, he took out a lot of roaches on that encroachment on the front. Looks like he was able to just chew through a ton of them. He has a Colossus to provide some nice defense. He's well shelled up, but shelling up isn't the issue here. It's his economy. He has 53 harvesters and only 2 bases to work with here. And eventually he is going to have to move out and come into the welcome opening slimy arms of radioactive roaches. In the meantime, pretty nice saturation there for Radioactive in that upper right-hand corner. He can still take additional bases at this stage. Still slow playing it though. Looks like Thermal Lance upgrade finishing. Spire planting down for Radioactive. Now starting to work on that drone count once again. Twilight Council also being fielded. Chanian perhaps feeling this is the time to move out, especially because his main looking extremely thin. He could actually win this engagement with the amount of roaches fielded here, particularly with some of the, nice force fields. Displacing a lot of these roaches. Really well piled up. Unfortunately, his Stalker's not in the front, and these sentries being... he needed to preserve those sentries, and every single sentry picked off. This could open up a fallen attack from Radioactive. Actually, the big difference in that fight, the upgrades. Level 2 weapons, level 2 armor. So even though it seemed like they were smaller roach numbers, they were just more powerful troops in that engagement. Now they can just charge forward. Only 2 sentries left, 1 sentry left. And they do not have a lot of shield. And I love what Radioactive is doing. He's just pummeling that front door, forcing those shields to be planted. And soon he might be able to just straight up breach his front door. Stalker's, getting too aggressive. Another sentry pinned off. Only 1 sentry left to try to defend this entire army from Radioactive on the front door. Never mind 0 sentries. Colossus and Stalker is going to be it, and you can see those roaches looking extremely happy. They feel they can win the match right here, chewing through everything on the front door. More sentries trying to warp in to try to get more force fields planted. Still, some roaches have made it on the other side, and Radioactive once again burrowing. And it looks like I might have missed a drop that cleared out the main. Let's go back and check. Yep, we see a drop incoming. Usually I'm on top of this sort of thing, but not today. Roaches. Completely crushing that while this is pressing forward. Oh my goodness. Completely clearing that probe line. That's actually why the probes retreated to the main. So Chanian now in an even worse, absolutely devastating economic position. Stalker's able to clean this up, it looks like, somehow, between that and the cannons. But still, Radioactive is everywhere, completely breaching this front door. He's in an excellent position to take this match down. 44 Harvesters versus 52. Spire's just about to finish, so this is going to be an even bigger nightmare with that mobility. And the Roach is still burrowed in the rear of the base here. So Chanian is going to have to... Oh, and never mind. If that wasn't enough, Radioactive continuing to flood troops. Yeah, he can just continue to flood troops to this front door. You can create that Zerg. I love the little Zerglings. They're so cute when they're burrowed right there. Observer's seeing everything, and the Colossus might be able to run up and get some free kills and hop up and down. But still, main is denied. These Roaches are still very threatening here in this rear position. And Radioactive can do whatever he wants. It looks like he's going up to Greater Spire, has a Corruptor in production. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a large bank to do the transition. Actually getting Tunneling Claws as well to climb underneath those force fields and maybe breach that front door. He doesn't have a large bank, but it looks like he is saving minerals to try to work with this. Chanian, in the meantime, desperately moving forward with those Colossi. Just a skeleton crew of troops. Completely ignoring. Maybe he doesn't know about these Roaches in this back corner with this Zergling. That is altogether possible. So a nice little Zergy deadly surprise here in the rear of his base that's going to slow him down even further. Chanian starting to stage forward. He wants to and wow, creep all over here too. Unfortunately, you need to have map control to pull an expansion off as Protoss at this stage, and he does not have map control at all. In fact, it feels like he is the opposite of map control right now. Need to come up with a word for that. Corruptor is able to snipe. I'm going to try to keep an eye on those. Able to snipe Colossi out in forward field. More troops starting to gather up. There are actually some Roaches even burrowed in that brush right there. Pylon completely crushed. Chanian backed up to the wall. Looks like another drop staging forward. More Roaches, more Zerglings moving in. Chanian cannot defend both locations at once. And it looks like there's still reinforcements that could unburrow here. So basically he has enough troops to maybe defend one front, but not both simultaneously. There's the drop in the main. Roaches destroying everything. Stalker's not there enough. Is he going to bite down and pull back? No, it looks like he's just going to sack his main. He's not even going to worry about it. This is certainly GG at this stage. Radioactive has played this fantastically, moving all of his Colossi up to try to clean these Roaches. But while they're away, the rest of the Roaches pressing forward. They do have the Tunneling Claw upgrade, so they can just sneak underneath all of this. And if this wasn't enough, Radioactive is growing a large bank. So yes, he can get Broodlords immediately. 4 Broodlords overhead. Stalker is pinned in a very small area where they're not going to be able to accomplish a lot. Roach is trying to do what they can, but not exactly a fair fight. Are able to pick off a Colossus. Nice. Everything going Radioactive's way here. Somehow Chanian able to sneak up to this upper left-hand base, isolating with that gateway, some cannons. Overlord's still in the way, so he's going to need to warp a unit or something in there. I like the Roach burrowed to prevent an additional Nexus being planted there, not that it's necessary. And now the Broodlord's just pinning, just smacking away at that top. Zergling's going to try to... Actually, all they need to do is kill that probe, and that should be it. Instead, that probe actually being really useful at blocking away. But this is... Oh, Chanian in a terrible situation. Gateway down. Stalker's moving forward, trying to do what they can, but they can't really sneak out to engage both these Roaches and these Broodlords simultaneously, particularly when those Roaches are so highly upgraded. Forge down as well. Colossi, very, very worried. Looks like the Zerglings, actually Roaches now going up. They're going to finish off everything in that upper left-hand corner. Blinking down, going to try to do what they can. Picked off one Broodlord. Nice snipe. Second Broodlord going to be taken out. Let's see if they're going to be able to escape. It looks like they're actually wholesale engaging these Roaches. That was a mistake. But this ramp is now completely open. There's 2 force fields right there. Still Broodlords that can encroach otherwise, and more going to be coming shortly. Chanian trying to warp in everything he can to just hold back and stem the tide. Actually doing an excellent job thus far of doing so, but unfortunately he's just well behind in upgrades. Zergling's now flooding in. The Corruptor's pinning those Colossi back. Still wandering Roaches from that earlier attack, sneaking up. I think that was that burrowed Roach. And this natural expansion going to be taken out. Chanian down to 30 supply. Looks like Amazon is going to remain undefeated. Well fought, though, by Twitter. Excellent play. Hope you guys enjoyed it. But Amazon remains undefeated in this match. Thank you for listening. Check out all of the rest of the action at AfterhoursGaming.tv. Special thanks to everyone who participated. Absolute pleasure commentating. Thank you for listening.